If you're curious to hear a little music from our guest Carla Lucero, who we spoke to in our most recent episode, check out E4TT's annual concert of music by women and non-binary composers, Midnight Serenades, on January 25th. Welcome to For Good Measure, an interview series celebrating diverse composers and other creative artists, sponsored by a grant from the California Arts Council. I'm Nanette McGuinness, Artistic Executive Director of Ensemble for these times. In this week's episode, we continue our conversation with Monica Chu, who joined us in June 2022. How has being an Asian American woman influenced your path in life?
Oh, well, I moved out to California when I was 20, and that was to go to conservatory for my master's in piano. And I had previously lived in North Carolina. And although, my entire nuclear family is there, it was clear to me when I moved out to California that I was never going to live in North Carolina again. Because North Carolina is a hotbed of religious and political conservatism. And you can escape that a little bit in university towns, but it's very painful living in the South as a minority. Certainly being a woman in engineering was very obvious to me when I worked for Google and even in school. I mean, I think it's around 10%. And yeah, and there are the usual things that happen, like somebody assuming that I'm a UX designer or whatever when I'm not, or whatever. These very common stories that you can look up if you're interested in that kind of thing. As far as my racial background, it's very easy in the Bay Area for a lot of East Asians to assume that they have white privilege until something like COVID happens. And Wuhan flu is on Fox News for 24 hours straight. And then you really see, oh, well, yeah, people are getting stabbed in daylight and 8th and Market. And that was really disheartening to see. So, I mean, I think a lot of people have had that experience, though, just of noticing that that their privilege has been eroded during COVID. Over the past 4 or 5 years, when it's become safer to be overtly racist and misogynist and all that, I think it's felt like a large increase in reported incidents. And, I'll just tell you, my first memory of a really bad, what felt like a hate crime to me, was when Rodney King got beaten by LAPD. That happened when I was 12. And at that time, I don't think that digital cameras were very as common as, they were not really very common. So in some ways we were really lucky that it was filmed at all. And I just remember even at 12, I was so shocked at the verdict, and I just couldn't believe that it happened. And it's just criminal that these things are still happening after decades. And I don't know if I'm more aware of it now, or if I think that's actually the answer, that I'm more aware of it now because people have more cameras now and it gets reported more. But it really felt like a marked increase over the past 5 years for obvious reasons.
As a Bay Area artist, how has the musical landscape changed during your time here? Is there anything you'd like to see more or less of?
Well, what I have noticed over the past couple years is that I think more and more people are seeing the value in diversity in programming. And that's, I mean, obviously in small ensembles like E4TT has always made that a priority. And it's really been great to see even larger institutions like SF Symphony have all these guest directors that do much more exciting programming, frankly, than what was on the menu 5 years ago. And that's been great. Some things that I would like to see are, uh, I just would love to see that continue. I would love to see some of our institutions accommodate for shorter attention spans and smaller budgets. Like, for example, I follow LA Opera, and I think they have really just responded so admirably in their expansion of programming and their availability of like digital shorts that are less than 10 minutes for new or remote subscribers, and just really doing a great job in diversifying their programming. And I would love to see more of that here for the more well-funded institutions. I just find it so bizarre what's going on with, Peter Gelb, and I don't I have it's just astonishing to me that they can um continue doing the same things and expect different results. So, um yeah, it's and then like there is that awful interview with David Finkel and Wuhan in the New York Times. And I think that anybody who thinks that all of music is represented in a Haydn quartet is not who we should be looking to for leadership. So I hope that more people recognize that and respond appropriately. I love Haydn. It's just that I don't want to only study Haydn or only listen to Haydn. And yeah.
Who are some of your favorite contemporary composers of piano music? Any underrated or undiscovered gems?
There's so many composers that I don't know, and every day I hear something by someone that I would love to play whose music I don't know very well. And this morning it was Adolphus Hailstork Scherzo, which I just thought was fantastic. And I'm not going to try to enumerate all the contemporary composers that I think are underrated, but I'll just say that recently I've really enjoyed learning the studies in African rhythms by Fred Ono-Vuraswoke. And those are pieces that I think are so fun, and I hope to keep them in my repertoire forever. Um, I have unsections, etudes on my piano desk. They're very difficult, so they may not ever make it out, but I totally love them. Um, and the past few months, I've heard music by Rina Esmail and Ida Shirazi that I would love to learn, and that's only the tip of the iceberg. I'm not going to go on and on and on because I'm going to leave somebody out. But there's never enough time, and the list is always growing. So it's actually it's true. It's one of my great joys is actually doing music research, which basically just means listening to lots of music and figuring out what I could possibly program next.
Yeah, it's true. It's a little like being in a toy store, or a bookstore, or a candy store. All the shelves are in front of you, and you wander down one aisle and discover more and more wonderful selections. So you're like, I want to do this. That's terrific. I love this. It's really amazing how much good music and how many good composers are out there when you just start to tiptoe along just a little bit. So one leads to another. Yeah.
It is. It really is.
Thank you for listening to For Good Measure, and a special thank you to our guest, Monica Chu, for joining us today. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to our podcast by clicking on the subscribe button and support us by sharing it with your friends, posting about it on social media, and leaving us a rating and a review. To learn more about E4TT, our concert season online and in the Bay Area, or to make a tax-deductible donation, please visit us at www.e4tt.org. This podcast is made possible in part by a grant from the California Arts Council and generous donors like you. For Good Measure is produced by Nanette McGuinness and Ensemble for These Times and designed by Brennan Stokes, with special thanks to audio engineer extraordinaire Stephanie Neumann. Remember to keep supporting equity in the arts and tune in next week for Good Measure.